and welcome to the Flexitarian Feast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Eliz, and we are two home cooks trying to eat more plants. Thank you for joining us. Today we are talking all about grains.
Yay, grains. So when we had this plan for this episode, it reminded me of my favorite joke.
Okay, you gotta tell me.
It's kind of a dumb dad joke, but
my favorite.
What do vegetarian zombies eat?
What?
Grains. So, sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's perfect. All right, so maybe our first grain that we should discuss is the one that we eat the most at my house, which is oatmeal. Do you like oatmeal?
I do like oatmeal. What do you guys...
So we eat a ton of oatmeal. Both kids like it for breakfast. Ryan likes it. I don't love oatmeal, but I will eat it. I just get rolled oats or quick oats or whatever is cheap at the store. I really do like steel cut oats, but it just feels like too much work for me in the morning. I usually just prepare them in the microwave with water and chia seeds, and then everybody gets their own toppings. So Charlie, we usually do applesauce and honey. And then Ada always wants chocolate oatmeal, which this is a great way to get kids to eat oatmeal, is you just put a little unsweetened cacao or cocoa powder and then mix it with a little honey, and it feels like a very special treat.
That does sound really fancy.
Yeah, very fancy.
So yeah, I like oatmeal too. I never really make it, and actually I don't really eat breakfast most days of the week, which is I know is really bad.
That is not good.
But I'm usually just rushing. I'd have coffee, and then I usually will have an early lunch. But I usually just make breakfast on the weekends. But oatmeal is so good on a cold day.
Yeah.
My husband works from home, so he usually has cereal. But we also started having oatmeal on hand for him to have. But my favorite thing to put in oatmeal is peanut butter. And I like nuts, like cashews or anything like that. And what's the other thing I like? Peanut butter or almond butter, cinnamon, and bananas. Those are my favorites.
Oh, yeah. I like cinnamon, too. Or even like a little sprinkle of cardamom can be good with the cinnamon. Or nutmeg, yeah.
And butter. I like putting butter in there.
Absolutely.
I think that you could probably do steel cut oats in the Instant Pot.
I'm sure you can. You are like the queen of Instant Pot.
I know. I feel like this whole thing, I'm just advertising the Instant Pot. But I just use it for so much stuff, which surprises me.
Yeah, I'm sure you could do it overnight. I mean, I think you could even soak the steel cut oats overnight, and they're pretty quick to cook in the morning.
Oh, yeah, probably. The only time I made them was in a crock pot, and it was like with pears or something, and it was
that sounds good.
Really, really good. And I did it overnight, and then in the morning, it smelled amazing. It was ready to eat. So I feel like the Instant Pot would do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like super fast. I should do that.
I don't know. You should try it.
I really do like steel cut oats because they are more chewy. I just feel like rolled oats are they can get so very mushy, but but they're also like super quick. And I actually make pancakes with oatmeal a lot of the times too. So this is kind of like our house pancakes. I make other pancakes too, but usually if it's like a weekday and I'm making pancakes, this is the recipe I use. It's an old recipe from a blog called Eat, Live, Run. You just blend up like 2 bananas, like a cup of applesauce, 5 eggs, which is a lot, oatmeal, salt, and baking soda and baking powder. And I usually increase the salt that's in the recipe. We'll link to the recipe in the show notes. And then I just add spices too, like cinnamon, or I even add pumpkin pie spice, which is really good.
Nice.
And then you just blend it up and cook it as pancakes. And I mean, they're not like fluffy light pancakes. They're definitely like denser pancakes, but they're good. They're delicious.
That sounds really good.
Yeah. And they're super nutritious.
Turn them away. Yeah, that sounds great. I feel like you could probably thin them out with a little bit of like almond milk or something and make crepes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That would be probably really good.
That would be delicious.
And just with whipped cream or strawberries or something.
Delicious. I mean, yes, whipped cream on pancakes is a great topping.
What else can you make with oatmeal? I guess you can make oatmeal cookies.
Oh, yeah. I love oatmeal cookies.
I do, too. I feel like they're kind of underappreciated, but...
I always just make the Toll House oatmeal... No, the Quaker oatmeal cookie recipe.
With raisins or chocolate chips?
With chocolate chips, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think they're called the vanishing cookies. That's what they're called. I don't know. It's like an old recipe.
I like when oats are in peanut butter cookies, too.
Yeah, I think oats are just really delicious.
They are really good.
I make granola too, although nobody in my family will eat it, and so I don't know why.
I keep meaning to make granola too, because I really do like granola with yogurt, and that's is an easy breakfast that I make sometimes for myself if I have it around.
It's a great way. Making granola is a great way to kind of clean out your pantry if you have lots of like nuts and seeds and dried fruits or whatever. Smitten Kitchen has in her first cookbook, has a recipe for granola that's really good. And she uses egg white to bind the granola so you get the clumps. That's kind of like the trick with granola is that it's hard to get it clumpy like granola you get at the store, but egg whites do help. And then you also don't want to add any dried fruit until after you bake it, or the dried fruit will get all like crunchy.
Too dried up?
Yeah, too dried up.
Okay, well, I think in my house, the most commonly eaten grain is rice because there's just so many different ways you can eat it.
Love rice.
So many different varieties. But besides rice bowls, which I'm sure we probably have our favorites, but do you have any other interesting rice things?
So still on the breakfast discussion. Last week I made a brown rice porridge. This was a recipe from Every Day is Saturday by Sarah Copeland. I think I've talked about this book before on the podcast. It was like the food director at Real Simple Magazine. And so all the recipes really feel like Real Simple Magazine type recipes. So they're not too many ingredients and they're pretty nutritious.
I used to love that magazine.
I still love that magazine.
I mean, I still love it too, I guess, but I just don't get it anymore. I did subscribe to it for a long time because I liked the recipes. Like that was the main thing I liked.
I know I love the whole look of them.
Yeah.
Anyways, you just take leftover brown rice. You could also use white rice if that's what you have. And then you reheat it with your milk of choice and a cinnamon stick and vanilla. And then until it kind of thickens and heats through. And then just top it with flaky sea salt. That is kind of the key. And then maple syrup or honey if you want. And then fruit.
That sounds super good.
It was so good. It was really chewy. I feel like it filled me up longer than oatmeal does. Both kids liked it. They didn't want to try it, but then they did. I was like, what is there not to like about this?
Did it just look weird to them or what?
It was a new food.
Because it's kind of similar to like oatmeal that they probably eat,
love
right?
oatmeal. They love rice. And
it's just
it was just served in a new way.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did like it once they ate it.
It sounds similar to me like congee, which is more of a savory type thing. I think it's usually with basmati rice and just a ton of herbs and an egg. That's the only way I've had it anyway. But I keep meaning to try to make that too. But
yeah, I've never made that.
I haven't, and I should.
Sounds good.
What else? I really love coconut rice. It always feels really fancy to me. So what about rice bowls?
Love rice bowls.
Do you have any favorites that you make?
My favorite rice bowl is called gado gado.
Ooh.
I think I'm saying that right. It's an Indonesian style rice bowl. And there's actually a restaurant in Portland called Gado Gado that just opened. Yeah, have you been?
No, I haven't been there.
We're going to go. I just made a reservation for a couple weeks from now. So I will report back about that place.
Please do.
Because it sounds delicious. I learned about this recipe from another cookbook I really like called Feeding a Family by Sarah Waldman. It's a brown rice bowl, and then you have hard-boiled eggs, which I think that is pretty typical in gado gado. And then carrots, mango, purple cabbage, cilantro, and peanut sauce. And then you top the whole thing with chopped peanuts. It's so delicious.
So the eggs are the protein.
The eggs are the protein.
Yeah. That's smart. I like that.
Yeah, and you can customize it however you want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody likes that.
You can't go wrong with peanut sauce. One of my favorite rice bowls is also brown rice and peanut sauce, but it has steamed broccoli and my favorite nutritional yeast tofu, and it's actually a copycat of a recipe from a vegan restaurant here called The By and By.
Oh, yeah.
So my husband would always go and eat this whenever I was busy or whatever, and so I decided to just make it at home, and we haven't ordered it at the restaurant since because I just pretty much figured out how to make it. But it's like comfort food, but it's also super healthy.
Yeah, yum.
And if you have avocado, that's really good to have with it too.
I want to try that nutritional yeast tofu.
It's my favorite. Like it's just gets really chewy. I told my sister to make it, and her kids loved it too. It's like chicken nuggets kind of.
Yeah, it is exactly.
Yeah, so it's really tasty.
Another really chewy thing that I like to eat is black forbidden rice. Have you ever tried that?
No, I haven't. I've seen it in the store though.
It's very beautiful. It's like it's black and kind of the same shape as brown rice. And so this is another recipe from Feeding a Family, but you mix dried peaches, diced, and slivered almonds with the black rice to make like a pilaf, I think. Anyways, it's so good. You can use any kind of dried fruit or nut, or just eat the rice on its own because it is really good. Yeah,
I was thinking it seems in my head like it would be similar to wild rice.
Right.
But maybe just slightly different texture. I don't know. Or different, like not as earthy. I don't know. Wild rice is kind of like specific in my head, but.
Yeah, I'm not really buy wild rice very often.
Yeah, I made that soup a while back that I talked about, and I think I used it all up and I didn't buy more. So I don't know. I never really knew what to do with it.
Yeah.
So. But maybe something like that would work too for wild rice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even like brown rice, if you just want to make it a little bit different, just put dried fruit and nuts.
Sounds good to me.
Little olive oil, little salt.
Yeah. So hey, Eliz, do you ever make risotto?
I have have made risotto. I've done it the way where you like stir it for a million years.
Yeah, I'm too impatient for that.
Too impatient. I'm like, ooh, this would be a great like dinner party food. No, it's not, because you have to stand at the stove forever.
Can't prep
with
anything
like
else.
hot liquids pouring. It's awful. But it tastes good. But I did make it in the oven recently. I found a recipe for oven risotto, and that was very easy. So do you make it in the Instant Pot?
I know. I do everything in there.
I need to try that.
But it works great. You don't have to stir. It's probably the same thing as the oven, just doesn't take as long. So kind of, I think the best way that I think to do it is sort of just do a basic classic risotto in there, and then add in roasted vegetables, or if you have some kind of like puree you wanted to add, that would be good. But I think I don't know what the timing is, but some vegetables get too cooked with certain times. So you have to like look up a specific Instant Pot risotto recipe, or I don't know what you're doing. I haven't made a ton of risotto in there. The best one I made was like a roasted vegetable lemon risotto. So it was like a classic lemony risotto. Classic with lemon, like lemon zest, and then just roasted broccoli, and I put all the vegetables in at the end. Yum. So it worked out great. Oh, I was going to talk about this thing that I used to make all the time when I was poor and single and didn't ever want to cook. Because cooking for one is kind of sad. And I would make this whenever I wanted some greens, but I didn't feel like a salad. And I'd usually have rice around. So it's like a really cheap, easy kind of thing to make. But it's called spinach, garlic, jasmine rice. So I've only made it with jasmine rice, but I'm sure you could use any kind of rice. But jasmine rice is the quickest. And it has kind of like a unique floral element to it.
Yeah, I love jasmine rice.
So the way you make this is super easy. This is a really good thing to like teach your kids going off to college or whatever. So you just cook the rice, however long it takes. While the rice is cooking, chop up a whole bunch of spinach, however much you have around, because it always shrinks up a lot. Throw it in a big bowl. Chop up a little bit of garlic. Put that in, salt and pepper, and Parmesan cheese. Shred it up. When the rice is done, dump it in the bowl. And then the steam, just let it sit. And then the steam and the heat from the rice kind of wilts the spinach, mellows out the garlic, and then stir it all together. And you have this like super delicious greens-filled rice. And it's really good on its own. Like I've just had that for dinner, but it's good with anything else you might have around: a sausage, a chicken, tofu, vegetables, anything.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, it's kind of like in my brain, it's like my classic, like, my garlic rice, like it's just like my...
It's a house recipe.
It is one of my house recipes. I haven't made it in a while though, and so when I was typing this up or like planning this out...
Did you put it on your meal plan?
I was like, I need to make that soon. So,
that sounds really good.
Yeah, it's good. And super easy and cheap.
Yeah,
and you don't even really need a recipe for that, really. Like I found it from some, I don't know, random thing on the internet just because I was trying to find out... I was probably trying to find out what can I make with rice and spinach.
And like and they're like spinach
the
rice.
Easiest thing possible. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. But it worked out great. So let's see what else. What about quinoa?
Do you rinse your quinoa?
I do, but I don't really know why we're supposed to rinse quinoa.
I do not.
I even read something recently that said most commercially produced or distributed quinoa is already pre-rinsed.
That's what I thought too.
So I think it's supposed to take out some bitter element, but I've never really known. I
think you're supposed to rinse all grains.
Me too. I usually do. Actually, the last time I made brown rice, I didn't rinse it because I was just lazy, or my colander was in the dishwasher or something, and it turned out fine. I didn't even notice the difference. I don't rinse
my grains.
So I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that. It seems wasteful.
It seems like a waste of a colander.
Like waste of water, waste of colander, waste of time.
I don't know. Maybe if somebody has an idea of why we should be doing it, please
on our website and let us know what you think about rinsing grains. I don't know. I don't think it's really worth it.
I don't know if it is either. Do you like quinoa?
Oh, I guess that's
I don't really like it.
I know I'm supposed to like it, and I like it sometimes, but sometimes when I'm like, what should I make? It's just never my go-to thing.
Me neither.
So I don't know. I like it in salads a lot.
Yeah, I like it cold. And I do. I mean, I also feel like I should like quinoa because it has a lot of protein. It's fast.
Yeah. I feel like you were really big on quinoa salads
I do make them in the summer. I'm probably about once a month. Even in the winter, I'll make a quinoa salad and I'll have it for lunch for the week.
It's a good thing.
And I'll feel like so good about myself because I have my lunch prepared.
Right.
And it's good.
It's healthy.
It's healthy. I'm happy.
And it keeps in the fridge for a few days. If you can just not get tired of it.
Yeah, I don't get tired.
That's the thing for me. I get tired of like eating the same thing. And also with quinoa, I just kind of get bored of it. I don't know. I feel like it always needs freshening up after like a second day. I like add more lemon or add more something.
Yeah, you do. I think you do too.
But I do like it. One of my new kind of favorite ways that I discovered to eat quinoa is in a Quinoa Bake, which is something I discovered from Alexandra Cook's, one of my favorite blogs.
Delicious.
But it's a really good way to use up leftovers
like
too.
A casserole?
Yeah, so it's just a casserole, but basically just like roast whatever veggies, cook your quinoa, or use leftovers. And then like cheese if you have it or if you want, or you could leave it out, I'm sure. Herbs, fresh or dried, and like a little bit of probably broth or milk. Mix it all together, top it with breadcrumbs, and bake it.
I mean, that sounds good.
And it's just kind of like a good way to give leftovers a new life.
Yeah.
If you had a bunch of leftover roasted vegetables or whatever.
I actually saw a recipe for like a waffle or something, and they were like, just throw in a couple tablespoons of cooked quinoa, which, I mean, I'm sure that would be fine. You wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, because I have a cookbook that she talks about just throwing leftover grains into frittata.
Yeah.
And it seems weird, but it's like, it kind of gives a little extra heft.
Yeah.
Without having to toast bread or something.
Exactly.
On the side. Just
actually sounds good.
Yeah.
I do make quinoa salads, and there's this one from Detoxinista. It's just like a black bean and corn quinoa salad with, scallions and bell pepper and onions. That sounds good. It's really good. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. It has apple cider vinegar and lime juice.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It sounds really zippy. Like my favorite one.
Yeah, it's very zippy.
I think my favorite one that I like to make is like a Vietnamese-ish one with like a fish sauce, not chom kind of thing, because it's just very like
bright.
Zippy. Yeah, bright and kind of punches you in the face.
That's actually a great thing to eat in the winter too when you
and you want something light.
Because you're eating, Quinoa Bake.
Right. Exactly. All I want to eat is casseroles
cheesy
and
rice.
Cheese. Yeah.
I read, Julia Turshen, she has a couple cookbooks that are really great. One of them, she has a recipe for a quinoa salad, but she recommends spreading the hot quinoa on a sheet pan to cool it quickly.
Yeah, I've done that too.
So if you do that, then it will, the steam will be evaporated more quickly and your quinoa will be better. I would never do this unless it was a party that I really cared about.
Yeah.
But if you feel like your quinoa is mushy, there's a tip for
or if you're in a rush, you can also like bake it and it can crisp up.
Right.
Like there was somewhere we ordered a salad and they had this I don't remember what they called it. It was like magic crunchies or something that they called it. And it was just like crunchy quinoa and like crunched up bread kind of thing. I don't think it was bread though. I think it was gluten-free. It was like crunchy seeds and quinoa on top of the salad. It was just really good. So you can
that does sound good.
Bake them up and crisp them up. And that would be another good way to like dry them out. But if you're trying to cool them off quickly for a salad, then fridge
I've done that when making sushi too. You want to cool your rice quickly.
Oh, right, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like to add quinoa into soups too.
Oh yeah,
just like a chunk, like a little of it, half cup.
Yeah, so maybe you should share what you do with quinoa in your freezer.
Oh yeah, I think I already talked about it, but one time I just made too much quinoa and I didn't want to throw it away, but we weren't going to eat it, so I put it in a reusable Ziploc thing that I have. So it's sort of like in a flat layer in this bag in the freezer, and when I had some leftovers and it wasn't quite enough for lunch, I didn't want to throw it away, I just chunked off some of this frozen quinoa and threw it in the Tupperware in the morning. And by the time I ate it at work, it was thawed and mixed right into the rest of the stuff.
So smart.
So I did think I was a genius when I figured that out.
I think that is really smart.
Yeah, and because it wasn't like frozen in one big, huge chunk, it was kind of in a thin layer. I'd say it was probably about ½ inch thick. So I could just kind of crack off some and throw it in. And that was
that's super
really cool.
smart.
So yeah, quinoa is great. I like it. Well, I don't love it, but I do like it.
I feel the same way.
Is that fair? I don't know.
It is a good grain.
It is good, and it has a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And it, works well in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I agree.
So we shouldn't talk bad about quinoa.
Sorry, quinoa. I didn't mean to make you feel bad.
Oh my gosh. So what about polenta? Do you guys make polenta?
I do like polenta, but I don't make it very often because it seems like too much work and too much stirring. But I feel like you're going to tell me I should just make it in the Instant Pot.
Yes, I was going to say that. So if you want to make polenta in the Instant Pot, what you do is use 1 part polenta to 4 parts water.
Do you get quick polenta or regular polenta?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I just get it in the bulk bin. So I think it's just like, I don't know, regular. What's it called? Cornmeal, like coarse ground cornmeal. And then you put it in the Instant Pot, kind of, I guess you want it on the saute mode because you kind of want to get it up to a simmer. So you whisk it all together, just the water and the cornmeal and like a little bit of salt. And then seal it up. And I think you cook it for like, I want to say 10 minutes, but don't quote me on that.
I should just do that.
And then when you open it, it's still a little liquidy, but it kind of, stir it a little, stir in your cheese or butter or whatever else. And like it kind of solidifies as it sits anyway. So just turn the pot off. By the time you're ready to eat it, just perfect creamy polenta.
Okay,
with no stirring.
I'm going to put this on my meal plan.
Much less stirring.
Yeah, I mean, a little stirring is fine.
I think you could probably do it in the oven, too, a similar way.
I'm sure you can do it in the oven. I actually get the tube polenta.
Oh, yeah, those are handy.
They're super handy, and the kids really like them. I just slice it thick and then roast it on a sheet pan with olive oil and salt.
Yeah, I just saw in Safeway the other day, right next to those in the store, were the same kind of package of quinoa.
What?
And I picked it up and looked at it.
How would you even?
And I was like, are you supposed to slice this and cook it like I was very confused.
Oh, that's weird.
So I don't know. I haven't bought it to see what it's like, but maybe if you're curious about quinoa but you don't want to cook it, maybe you can find it in a tube and tell us what it's like.
Tell us what it's like.
I mean, it couldn't be terrible.
While you're at it, why don't you leave us 5 stars on our podcast?
While you're at it, leave us a review.
So in Everyday is Saturday, that cookbook I mentioned early, there's a recipe for Mexican polenta bowls, which are basically like burrito bowls, but with polenta as the base instead of rice.
Yeah.
I have not tried this.
I'd eat it.
I'm skeptical.
I think it would be good. I really like polenta.
Yeah, I like corn too.
Yeah, I think if you mixed in some cotija in there instead of like Parmesan or something, you could make it a little more like, I don't know, burrito-y. I actually made polenta bowls for breakfast last weekend because I had some leftover polenta, and like I was saying, it does solidify in the fridge, and you can like slice it and fry it, but that's never really worked well for me, probably because I add too much dairy or something, so it just melts when it hits the hot pan. It doesn't really like cook. Maybe I'm also just too impatient, but anyway, if you just heat it slowly on the stove with like a little bit more liquid, it will turn back into creamy polenta. So while that was going on, and I was like trying to mash it out of its solid form, I just sauteed a yellow squash because I had it, and an onion, and then we had that on top of the polenta with a fried egg and a little veggie sausage that I had.
Honestly, Michelle, that is my dream breakfast.
It was delicious, and it was easy.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I would love to eat that.
I'm kind of a breakfast pro because since I said I don't really eat breakfast during the week, on the weekends
you pull out all the stops.
I really plan breakfast because it's kind of like a treat for me, and we sleep in, so it's usually like we're too lazy, or I'm usually just too hungry to go out for breakfast because everywhere you have to wait. So I just started making breakfast, and now I feel like breakfast is kind of my best meal.
I love making breakfast too.
But also, like, you make pancakes a lot. I don't really do sweet stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't make pancakes if I did not have children.
I love pancakes. I
like savory breakfast.
Yeah, me too.
Polenta bowl, that sounds so delicious.
Yeah, the other thing I like to do, another kind of polenta bowl I like to make is like with collard greens and like barbecue tofu or like Cajun-y tofu and black beans or pinto beans, like a little more southern flair, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I've made cornmeal pancakes, which I think are called Johnny cakes.
Oh,
in some places.
I've seen that.
I think they're really good. The kids are kind of meh about them, but
what do you serve them with? I feel like you need a fancy sauce to dip them in.
Yeah.
Like maybe like an aioli type of sauce would be good, or
like
a
savory?
ketchup-y sauce.
Oh, that would be super good.
They might like it if there's
actually, these were sweet Johnny cakes that I made.
Oh, okay.
But they would be so good savory,
kind of like cornbread.
Yeah.
Which, that was another thing. Cornbread.
Oh, boy. we were talking about this earlier. Yeah. We have a no cornbread rule at our house because it is the messiest food. It is the hardest food to clean up after messy children.
Yeah.
But I do love cornbread. And the way I make it, I don't know if you do this, you get the cast iron pan and you preheat it in the oven with oil in the pan. And then you pour the cold batter into the hot pan. And then it kind of sizzles the whole bottom of it.
I bet that gets really tasty.
That's the best way to make cornbread.
I actually don't even have a cast iron pan. Isn't that sad? And my stove right now is one of those flat top things. I don't even think I can use it. Like I have a...
I actually don't really use my cast iron pan that often.
For some reason, they really intimidate me, like the care of it.
Yeah, I mean, people have a lot of feelings about it.
I have a cast iron like skillet thing that you can use on a stovetop, but I can't use that on my current stove either. So it's just like
they're
stored
great.
away.
You can actually put a cast iron pan. I use it on the grill.
Yeah.
Like on top of the grill.
Yeah. Actually,
that works pretty well.
We went on a trip with some people over the summer, and they had instead of having like a grill, they have a flat top grill, like a big cast iron flat top, and they brought it. Yeah, a huge griddle, like the size of a grill, and they brought it to the house that we were staying at with a whole bunch of people.
Perfect.
And I'm gonna get one.
Did you make pancakes?
Somebody did make pancakes one day. I used it to make what did I make?
Or bacon.
I think I made I don't even remember what I made. I think I might have just done like a hash of some kind.
Yeah.
But I did that like the
that would be so fun to cook on a big.
Oh my gosh! So since we don't really cook meat, I'm gonna get a flat top.
Yeah.
Instead of a grill.
Right.
My husband and I just moved to our current house like a year ago. It's just about a year ago. And before that, we were in a tiny apartment. So we haven't had a grill in a long time.
Oh, yeah. You need something.
So when we saw this flat top thing, we're going to buy like a half size one that's probably like, I don't know, 15 by 15.
Uh-huh.
And just cook everything on it outside next summer.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so great. You just like cook it all, and then you've got your Instant Pot going with whatever grain.
I know, make rice in there, make tofu outside. It's gonna be the best.
It's gonna be delicious.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I love cornbread too. I usually only make it when I make chili. That's for some reason those two go together in my head.
Yeah, me too.
But other than that, I never make it, and I agree it is messy.
It is so messy.
So let's see. There's probably some other not weird, but unused,
the lesser known,
unusual
grains,
uncommon.
Like buckwheat is one.
Buckwheat.
I really like buckwheat. Although I've only really used buckwheat flour, mostly in pancakes or muffins or something like that. And I also get buckwheat soba noodles because they are gluten-free.
So the flour is gluten-free too then, right?
Buckwheat flour is gluten-free, yeah.
Gotcha.
But I have seen the groats at the store. I think they're called groats.
Yeah, groats.
Is that like a whole grain?
Yeah, and I actually think that you can use the buckwheat groats in place of any kind of grain in any kind of recipe.
Oh, interesting.
You can cook them similar to rice, I think, and then you can use them like instead of quinoa. But I don't know why you would replace quinoa, but you could if you really hated quinoa, or if you really love farro, but you can't have wheat.
Right, that was
it's like a similar, I think, texture to that, maybe a little chewier. I don't know than quinoa.
I would love to try it.
So, and I think you're right. You can use it like a porridge too.
Yeah,
yeah.
What are some other grains that you really like?
Farro is my favorite of the weird. I keep saying weird, but I don't mean weird. The uncommon, lesser popular.
They're the grains that you like maybe have a bag in your pantry and you
I don't
didn't really know what to do with it.
Yeah, so farro is my favorite one. I just really, when I discovered farro, I was like, where has this been all my life? To me, farro is just really good. Like brown rice. Like you can use it in the same way you use brown rice, except for it is even a little chewier.
It's chewier.
Like it's more toothsome, and it holds up really good cold in salads. It's really good in hot things, but it has so much protein compared to rice.
Yeah, it's really nutritious.
So farro is my favorite one right now. And I also really like freekeh, which is similar.
I have not tried freekeh.
So freekeh is really similar. I feel like the grains are a little smaller. They're not quite as like toothsome. They're a little finer of a grain, but they have a really good flavor. And the name freekeh, I don't know the exact, what I'm trying to say is probably not completely accurate, but the word freekeh comes from like burning, because it's something to do with
I think I read that
the way
too.
that freekeh was discovered was like a barn of wheat grains like lit on fire, and everyone thought it was ruined, but then somebody went over there and like rubbed the husks off, and they discovered there's still a grain in there that can be used, and it absorbs the smoky flavor from the fire. So it has like the smoky flavor to it. Oh. So I really like it. I think it's really good with the squash, because squash is so sweet. It's like a really good balance.
All right.
So those are my two uncommon grain favorites. And I've seen both of these in the bags from Bob's Red Mill.
Love Bob's Red Mill.
They have
We should take a field trip to Bob's Red Mill.
We should. I've always wanted to go there because I've seen pictures
have you never been?
of it. No, I've never been.
I haven't been for years.
We
should go. They have they have like a cafe.
It's like a whole grocery store of grains.
It's huge. I know. We'll get all the grains.
Oh my gosh. They probably have bulk bins too. Of like
and their cornbread mix is very delicious.
I do love their They have a gluten-free one. I love their gluten-free flour too.
Yeah, their gluten-free flour is what I buy.
Yeah, the 1-to-1.
The 1-to-1.
I've used it like whenever I'm cooking for anyone gluten-free.
That's what you should do.
I don't usually bake, but if I do, that's what I use.
Yeah. That's very nice of you.
Not always, but I mean, if I'm sharing it with anyone that's gluten-free.
That is very kind.
It's not hard. It doesn't even taste different.
Do you bake bread?
Let's see. I have baked bread. I don't do it a lot because the time management of making bread is kind of,
you have to have like a good
I don't
plan.
know. I just, I try to plan stuff ahead. Like you're really good with your meal planning and I'm trying to be better about that. But to plan like, okay, I want to eat bread on this day. So I have to,
like
start
make
prepping it like this day at this time. Like, I can't get it together. But I recently saw this crazy way of making focaccia. I saw it actually on the Bon Appetit YouTube with Brad.
Was it Brad?
It was Brad.
Oh my gosh.
The woman from Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat.
Oh, Samine.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason it seems crazy is because it's like a normal focaccia bread, but when you bake it, you pour it in the pan with all this olive oil and stuff. You poke your dimples in it, and then you pour a bunch of salted water on top of it.
What?
And so it like all the water bakes off in the oven. So it's like brining the bread, so it's really crispy, salty on the outside.
Did they make that in the show?
I haven't watched the show, but
I feel like they made focaccia bread.
So yeah,
in the
I
show.
saw her making it with Brad, which I highly recommend.
You're like a Brad.
I'm
super fan.
Brad fan. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to make that soon because I really want to try it.
I think you should really make that and report back.
I will. Yeah, it just sounds crazy to me, but it makes sense to me that it like the water would evaporate and it would leave the delicious, crunchy, salty outside.
Absolutely.
You want your focaccia salty.
Sounds so good.
Yeah.
Okay, but I do have to tell you that I just got my Bon Appetit magazine this month, and I got the Brad cover.
Oh, were they different covers?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I only saw the Brad cover on my feed, probably because he's the only one I follow. Yeah, so that's really exciting, though, because I did see that the whole issue is about Thanksgiving.
It's all about Thanksgiving, yeah. So I do not bake bread either, but I would like to. I have made the no-knead bread a couple times.
I've made that, too.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to, like, get into...
I still feel like there's a little bit of kneading, though. It's not like no knead. It's just like less kneading. Yeah.
But you let it rise for a very long time. So if you're going to make it, you have to, again, like you said, you have to do it, get it started the day before. Yeah. Or maybe even 2 days before sometimes.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's the planning part that I have a hard time with.
But if somebody who is listening to this podcast wants to bake bread, that's where I would start.
Yeah, for sure. Also, that blog that I've mentioned a few times, Alexandra Cooks, she has a whole book.
She has a book
about making bread. And I think she makes it really easy. I don't have the cookbook, and I've seen this on the internet too. There's like this method where you kind of always have a bread dough going. Right. So when you want it, it's in the fridge, so it's slow rising. So when you're ready to cook it, you just chunk it off and throw it in the oven. You don't have to like be planning days in advance. It's just kind of like in your fridge, kind of waiting to be cooked.
Waiting for you to be eaten.
Yeah, but I haven't done that either. So
I really want to make sourdough bread. That's one of my goals.
Oh, for the winter. I think you can get a sourdough starter at the co-op down the street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was wondering where I should get it.
I feel like recently on the newsletter they said, "Oh, we have these new things."
That's good to know.
So I
feel like I could probably get one from like next door.
You probably find someone that has one, yeah. But
Buy Nothing group or something.
That's true, but you don't know what their house is like.
I agree.
I don't know. I want to get it from like as clean as I could.
Yeah, I mean,
I
make
guess
kombucha.
It's all bacteria. It's true. I do make kombucha. It's pretty gnarly, actually. So we haven't talked about pasta, but maybe we should just do a whole episode about pasta.
I think we should totally do a whole episode about pasta.
Because I really love pasta.
I do too, and I have a lot of thoughts about gluten-free pasta.
Okay, cool.
Stay tuned for pasta.
Stay tuned for pasta.
All right, so now it's time for our recent feast segment where we each talk about a delicious meal that we have made recently. Michelle, what do you have?
I made a veggie enchilada casserole, which is something that I've made a few times. I really like making this for a group because it just makes a ton of food. And this time I even made the sauce, which I don't normally do because I've tried a different couple recipes for enchilada sauce and I was never really happy with it. But this one I made was really good. So I'll definitely put the link to that in the show notes. You just blend up a bunch of stuff in the blender and then kind of simmer it on the stove for a while you're doing other stuff. And it turned out really good. I did add some more spices, but it would kind of be to taste. Like you could taste it and adjust it as as it cooks. So my method is this. I just roast a bunch of vegetables. And then while the vegetables are roasting, I cooked black beans in my Instant Pot, but you could also just use canned beans. Mm-hmm. I like to add in quinoa to this too because it's a good different texture. Uh-huh. But this time I didn't have quinoa, or I already had some other stuff I wanted to use, so I didn't put it in. But that's what I normally do because I just like the combo. So black beans, quinoa, or this time I used soy curls that I already had cooked. Roasted vegetables, always sweet potatoes, because sweet potatoes and black beans,
yeah,
they just,
so good.
They're magic. I don't know what it is. So I'll roast up a sweet potato and then like maybe a zucchini, some onion, red bell pepper, poblano. And then once the veggies are roasted and, you know, your beans and your quinoa or whatever else protein-wise you want to throw in there, kind of mix it all together. And then just layer it up with whatever tortillas you have and cheese.
Yum.
So, and you could probably even leave cheese out if you're not eating dairy. Like, I don't feel like it's super necessary, but I just really love cheese in there, especially cotija. So, I've been buying these lately. They're like a quinoa flaxseed blend tortilla.
Oh, yeah. I buy chips that have quinoa.
They're really good. They just taste like kind of like a whole wheat tortilla, I guess.
That's great.
But, yeah, more protein. So, that's the thing I'm always trying to figure out is like how to add in more protein that's not like more tofu. So
right.
That's why delicious. I like the grains and stuff that have protein because
exactly.
It's different.
That sounds so good. So. I love enchiladas too. And what I usually do is make 2 pans at once.
Oh, smart. So that's the thing for me too, is that I get so frustrated with rolling them because I feel like they just explode or you can't scoop them out right anyway. So now I just do it in layers
casserole.
Like lasagna.
All about that. But yeah, if you can just freeze one.
Smart.
Put it right into the freezer and then.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing the work, you might as well do 2.
That's true. So yeah, like I've made this for a group a couple of times when I host The Bachelor or whatever. This time my friend came over and helped us eat it and I sent her home with some.
Perfect.
So I didn't have endless leftovers, but yeah, it's pretty dang good.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, what about you, Eliz? What have you made lately?
Well, this recipe, I would not even really call it a recipe, but I made it tonight. And it's just a basic tomato soup.
Oh, yum.
It's from The Lazy Genius, which is a podcast that I really like. And she posted her tomato soup recipe on Instagram, and it looked super easy. So she sauteed like 2 carrots and an onion in butter and olive oil. Mm-hmm. I didn't even have an onion, so I just skipped it. So I just cut up 2 carrots and sauteed it. And then you just add chicken broth. She added like bouillon, but you could any kind of broth you want. Just to cover it by like an inch. And let it simmer till the carrots are soft, and then you blend it up, and then you add a can of tomato sauce. Oh. Which, that is a new ingredient for me.
How would you normally make tomato soup? Just with, like, fresh tomatoes?
I've always made it with, like, real tomatoes, which is good. But the one I made tonight with the tomato sauce, which is just, like, tomatoes and salt.
Right.
I think maybe it has a little bit of sugar.
They might not even have tomato sauce. I guess, it does have salt and sugar in there, right?
But it tastes just like Campbell's tomato soup.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Which I have not, maybe it doesn't because I haven't had it in a long time, but it tastes like my memory of Campbell's tomato soup. And it was very creamy from the carrot, I think, but there was no cream in it.
I bet you if you put pasta in there, it would be like spaghetti.
Oh, my gosh. It would totally be like... That is genius.
And maybe I think SpaghettiOs might be a little sweeter, but you could just add a little extra sugar.
That would be just like SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good though. And did you make grilled cheese?
I did make grilled cheese.
You have to with tomato soup. Grilled cheese,
and we just had hummus and veggies too.
That sounds great.
That was like the fastest, easiest dinner.
I love that. I made a kind of like a blendery soup like that tonight for dinner, and it was delicious. Okay, well, I think that's it for the grains episode. Thank you for joining us at the Flexitarian Feast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you are listening. And if you want to leave us a review, please do so.
That would be great.
Very much appreciate it. Next time, we're going to be talking about dairy and dairy alternatives. So you'll probably want to check that one out.
You can find us online at theflexitarianfeast.com and on Instagram at theflexitarianfeast. A huge thank you to our producer, Tiki Sound. I'm Eliz.
And I'm Michelle, and we'll see you next time. Until then, eat lots of plants.